Hey there! Sorry. Today we're going to have a look at a pen that was sent to me by Kevin from Fountain Pen Revolution, FB Revolution USA now, and I'm always very happy to review those pens because I think they have some interesting features. These are pens made in India. Kevin makes those pens available. He used to live in India, he doesn't anymore, but in any case he still makes Indian pens available to, I'm just going to call it the West. Okay, it's easy to order from his website because it's all in English, and some manufacturers of pens in India have websites you can order, but unless you speak the language they're written in, it will be a bit difficult. So I've always really appreciated Kevin's effort in making a lot of brands available to people, including Guider, for example, an older Indian brand that's been around for a while. But he also, as I said, has his own line of pens, and he keeps adding to those pens, which I think is a lot of fun. And today we're going to have a look at the Fountain Pen Revolution Indore. Now that is I-N-D-O-R-E, Indore, as opposed to, oh, I'm going indoor, you know? But I do endorse it. Now, the Indore. What is Indore? Indore is a city. In fact, it is the largest city in the Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. I did not know that Indore was the largest state in Madhya Pradesh, but I looked it up. So there you go. The largest state in, the largest city in the state of Madhya Pradesh, Indore, now immortalized in a pen. I think this pen has some pretty cool finishes. They're sort of features. First of all, there are 5 finishes available, 3 of which are translucent. This is one of the translucent ones, right? You can see the converter in there. You have a range of nib options available: extra fine, fine, medium. This is all steel, right? Then you have a broad and a 1mm stub, as well as a steel flex nib that adds $3 to the price, and then you have a steel ultra flex nib which adds $13 to the price. But I have used those, and those are super flexible, and they are also modified, so it would take time to create those nibs, and those are number 5.5 nibs. But what's interesting, I said adds $3 to the price. For example, the starting price of this model is $10, 10 US, and that I think is pretty amazing, given that, for example, it comes with a converter, and look at pretty much every fountain pen company online selling converters. Typical converter sets you back $7. So this whole pen is $10. At some point I found myself thinking, well, even if the pen would be utter crap, which I don't think it is, you have a converter out of it, which is a standard international converter, which kind of you would otherwise buy for $7. So I really genuinely believe this is a pretty good value. But of course, I'll show you all the parts of the pen. I'll show you how it writes, and then I'll tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, because I was getting ahead of myself, and we should pace ourselves in these exciting times. So let's get started. Okay, so here we go with the FBR Indore. Right, I have already talked about all the nib options and such, but yeah, there you go. So side by side with the Lamy Safari, you see it has a little less girth, and it is, as a pen, a little shorter. Right, capped it's one thing, but the actual writing instrument is a little bit shorter. Now, let me show you the parts of this pen. Finial, same material as the cap, which I always like. Here we have a nice clip, which for some reason I find a little platinum reminiscent, but that could be just me. Translucent cap, which is quite nice. A little simple band here. This band does not say Indore or anything. It's not engraved with anything. Then we have a barrel, which slowly tapers down, a little metal ring, and then that sort of end cap. The pen unscrews, or the cap unscrews, I should say. The section tapers down a little bit, flares out a bit. It's a very decent size, I would say. It's definitely long enough for me to use comfortably unposted. It is a little thinner, but I think it's a pretty normal pen size. And if you do like them bigger, you can always post it, and it posts very comfortably and securely, which is rather nice. I realized I did not show you the springiness of the clip. It's really quite nice. So that's very good. The nib is a number 5.5 steel nib. In this case, it is the steel flex nib with the deep slit. And then on this end we have the feed, which is plastic, not ebonite. I would really love to see ebonite feeds for especially these flex nibs at some point, just because the ink conduction I think is a little better. Okay, we unscrew the barrel, right? And then we have a converter. This pen came with this converter, which I think again is really cool given the price of the pen. And here you have the barrel. Now the first issue here is that there is that metal ring, and I have a little bit of trouble seeing if that really is just on the outside of the pen or if it's really in there. Because I'm a little hesitant to say, oh, eyedropper, etc. I couldn't find anything on the FBR website about eyedroppering these pens. Many of their pens are eyedropper compatible. I'm not sure about this. I also see something that looks like threads in there. So I would be a little hesitant. But that's pretty much it. So let's write with this pen. Let me zoom out a little bit. I am going to post this. The fountain pen Revolution Indore. The nib is a steel flex, and the ink is Waterman, what used to be South Sea blue. So they're turquoise. Le turquoise. Okay, now writing. There definitely is a feedback to this nib. It also is pretty fine, right? But that's kind of what you want for a flex nib, the fineness at least. So you get a nice difference between the finer strokes and the flexy strokes. And you do notice that with the very fast writing there definitely are some skips. Okay, now I don't think anyone in their right minds would write that fast, but still. Wetness seems okay, not exceptionally wet, not exceptionally dry. But now I know what you really want to see, the line variation of these flex nibs. Well, there definitely is some. I'm pushing the pen pretty hard here. And you do really have to slow down. And I think that to really make this work well, now this is also Rhodia. And I found that these coated papers are not the best for flexi writing. You also have to find a sort of sweet spot in how fast you go. Too slow and it railroads, too fast and it railroads. I've seen that more modern flex nibs. And of course there's always the that was too fast. There's always the option of priming the feed a little bit, right? Which in many modern pens I found you have to do. So I will do that for you. Let me just finish this. There's the reverse writing. That gets unpleasantly scratchy. Yeah, you see it's catching paper fiber, so that's not really ideal on this pen. Now let me just try and really saturate that feed with some ink, really priming it. Because sometimes, especially with these modern flex pens, that can make a bit of a difference. Because I've actually had better flex performance than what I'm showing here, so I do want to try and be fair. I think it is a little bit of the issue of the paper here too. So if this doesn't work, I'll show you some other paper. I do have to slow down. Now this is very wet, but I mean this is... I caught a lot of ink in the feed there. So maybe with a little less wetness than this, what I'm doing right now, that is pretty representative of the flex performance I have had on other papers too. So that's pretty good. Yay. No modern flex pen that I have used is a real alternative to vintage 14K flex, but given that this is a $10 pen, I don't think this is that terrible. Okay, sorry, $13 I think with the flex nib, but still. I'll just let that sort of air dry a little bit. Let's see. So once you have that feed primed a bit, that's not bad, is it? Shall we do the one that I've never really understood why people like it so much, but okay, that was fairly horrid, but I went pretty fast there. Maybe I should just stick to my hellos. Oh, there we go. Oh, railroading. Oh no. Anyway, I hope you get the point. You may have to play a bit with the converter here, but I'll come back to that. Let's see what I like about the pen and what I don't like about the pen. Okay, what do I like, what do I not like about the FPR Indore? Well, I think it's an extremely affordable pen. The sort of cheapest iteration of it you can buy is $10. That becomes kind of hard to beat. I think there are some cute finishes. I like this transparent look because you can see the converter on the inside, so that is quite nice. You also have a nice range of nib options, right? They're all the way from extra fine for medium, a broad, a 1mm stub, and then you have the flex option. So I think that really is quite nice. You can also purchase. Sorry, there's a hair moving in front of my eyes. It's driving me nuts. So you can also buy number 5.5 replacement nibs on the FPR website. So you can have you have different options, and the pen does actually come apart to be clean, so you can actually pull the nib and feed, which is quite nice. Now, I also thought that right before I would shoot this segment, I would actually be empirical about this, so I filled up the barrel of the pen with water, and I saw no leakage, so I'm actually getting the feeling that this metal ring is cosmetic and is only on the outside, but is not actually on the inside of that pen, and that this... Again, I'm pretty sure I see threads down here, but I don't seem to be able to unscrew this part, so I don't know if that was glued into place or whatever. In any case, I filled this up with water, nothing came out at the bottom, then I blew it pretty hard, nothing came up. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is safe to be eyedropped. I haven't tried it overnight, but it seemed pretty solid to me. So, contrary to my previous information, I don't really see why you would not be able to eyedropper this. And that's actually a good thing, because that increases the ink capacity considerably, right? So there's all that. Things I don't like so much. With the flex nibs, and I've said that a few times now, with the flex nibs, I personally would really like to see an ebonite feed. I think that the ink flow properties of ebonite are quite nice. And I think for a flex nib that might be a little better, because right now the nib is a little finicky. It is fine when you write normally with no pressure. Once you start to do flex writing, you saw how it performed. It's not terrible, but it's not 100% consistent either. And unless you really prime that feed, which you can do if you use the converter, but if you do eyedropper it, you wouldn't really be able to do that easily. That becomes a bit of a problem. So of course you can just dip it in ink every time, but then you may as well use a dip nib. Then there's no real point in using a fountain pen. So I think that is something to take into consideration. It's for sure decent performance, and of course you could also say, yeah, $10, or with the flex nib, not the ultra flex, but this flex nib on here, $13. Yeah, maybe I'll just take the risk and see. You could of course try to modify the feed a bit. There are some things you can do, deepen the channel or whatever, so there are some options, but again that would be a little easier with ebonite. But I would also not be surprised if that would put up the price a bit. So it's the way it is. $10, $13 for the flex nib, and it writes, it works. It may just not be a vintage flex experience, but then again, you wouldn't get a vintage flex experience for $13 either. That's pretty much all there is to it. I think that you get a very decent package with this pen. I think it's quite nice. I like the look of it. It's quite comfortable. One thing I should point out is it definitely has the noodler smell. So if you've ever used a noodler's pen, you know what I'm talking about. It has the smell. Yeah. So some people are extremely offended by that, it seems, online. But yeah, there is that smell. Okay. So that's something to take into account. Kevin did have some tip on how to get rid of that with a very mild bleach solution, I think. And that's all there is to it. Kevin, thank you very much for sending me this pen. I really appreciate it. Guys, I hope this was useful, and I'm glad to see you later. Bye-bye.